Mercs for Sega Genesis, released in September of 1991. It was originally an arcade game that released a year earlier. When people talk about Sega, especially the Genesis, they talk about Sonic, Mortal Kombat, Altered Beast, Comix Zone, and the Streets of Rage series. It seems like Mercs gets buried under these iconic games. The story. There are two modes, which I'll talk more about soon. But in arcade mode, you have to save the president, due to diplomatic reasons, whatever that means. Military intervention isn't an option. Seems a bit ridiculous, but hey, that's the story. A mercenary group named Zatura is sent to rescue him. The story of original mode is basically, you are sent into the country of Kira to take out newly developed long-range missiles, sent by the president for fear that it will disrupt the balance of global power. Both are standard stuff, but for a Sega Genesis shooter, it ain't half bad. Hey, what's a game about really? Well, how about freaking playing it? Gameplay. Mercs is a top-down arcade shooter. The gameplay is basically the same between both arcade and original mode. It's the same game after all. You run, shoot, blow stuff up, fight against waves of enemy attackers, armed with rifles and grenades. No shortage of tanks, turrets, and heavily armored vehicles that act as bosses. Arcade mode is a much faster experience. It has 6 action-packed stages. It should take around 20 minutes to complete, if you can manage to. It's a really pretty tough game. The constant stream of enemies make it to where you need to be zoned in at all times. In this mode, you find guns, similar to Contra, that you can interchange by walking over them. The flamethrower,
my favorite,
allows you to carve your way through hostile troops like hot melting butter. Arcade mode is pretty generous with the mega crashes, aka the bombs. My biggest gripe with this mode is the fact that you can't make your character move any faster. If it's a nice quickie you're looking for, arcade mode is where it's at. It's about a 20-minute experience. Original mode. Now this is where the game gets awesome. 8 stages that all vary and progress in a way that makes sense. Similar to arcade mode, you start on a beach and make your way through more natural environments until you eventually encounter cities and then the enemy base. While the controls and polish on both modes are awesome, I like the minor RPG elements that come into play in original mode. The first safe house you encounter has a new friend for our star, Rifle. He is united with his goggle-wearing stud, Burner. Why is he called Burner? You guessed it.
Look what I have created! I have made fire! I have made fire!
And you can't forget about that gorgeous girl waiting to greet you. This pattern repeats a few times where you meet the rest of the band. We've already talked about Rifle, our frontman, and Burner, our dude on bass. Then we meet Launcher. I'd say he's our drummer for sure, the way he packs that hard punch. Laser, the lead guitarist, and later, we get a groupie named Homing. You can have quite an OP squad towards the end of the game. And to get this OP squad, there's the upgrade system. You have to be controlling the character you want to get the upgrade, so get used to this screen. I'd say that is the only disadvantage of original mode, having to switch characters and go into this menu screen so often. It takes away from the flow of the game. The C button shoots the same way as A. The select button isn't even used. I feel that was an opportunity missed to add a quick cycle feature instead of having to go to the menu every time. It comes in handy sometimes to pause when you have a tank or certain types of enemies in front of you, and stopping the game is a big advantage. But there are some times you don't necessarily want to have to go into that menu. So being able to cycle quickly would have been nice.
Graphics.
Mercs makes it easy to see what you are looking at and what is ahead of you. The game does lag at certain points. It's in a few designated areas. Not sure if that's graphical related or whatever. The polish of this game is great besides that, and it has a unique kind of realistic style. Like if you were to be following the character in a helicopter looking straight down at them, that's exactly what you'd see. You just wouldn't see this yellowish gold color of bullets moving in slow-mo. But that is to assist the player in dodging, of course. It's a gameplay mechanic. It's no doubt this game drew inspiration from Commando. Mercs is basically the little brother that got all the good genes somehow. Animations are very smooth too. No complaints from me on the aesthetic of Mercs for Sega Genesis.
Music.
The music is absolutely amazing. Just listen to these radical jams, y'all. It makes me want to learn how to remix songs because most of the music here is worth it. My all-time favorite Genesis music is from Streets of Rage 2, but Mercs is a close second. Manami Matsumae did some of her best work here on Mercs. She also worked on Mega Man 1 and 2, Magic Sword, Shovel Knight, to name a few. Matsumae is still composing video game music to this day. If the music from this game doesn't prove that
Blast processing.
is a real thing, then I don't know what will.
Overview.
Mercs is an intoxicating experience. If you were to finish both arcade and original mode continuously, you have about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes of gameplay. 14 levels of pure and simple run and gun action, with enough variety to keep you extremely entertained. I go back and play Mercs about once a month. I'll admit, usually just the original mode because I like the subtle differences in music more. Plus, the length is just so satisfying. Yeah. I really appreciate the upgrade system of the characters, and you gotta love the names. I mean, rifle, burner, launcher, laser, and homing for homing missiles. And, of course, that beautiful, beautiful girl in the safe houses. But I digress. The difficulty can be adjusted between easy, normal, and hard to suit your skill level. I've always played on normal, and that has provided a balanced, fair challenge. Mercs deserves more love. I've seen it get credit from time to time, but in my personal experience, I've only met a few people that know about Mercs. Most are game collectors. One is my best friend, who knows about it because of me and another one of his friends. He might have told him about it, I don't know. But it's a pretty small group in my personal circle, so take it from a handful of people. It's pretty badass. Which leads to
Rating.
I give Mercs a rating of John Wick out of 10. Nobody watches that movie for the story or acting. You just want to see Keanu whoop some ass. It doesn't require much thought, but man is it therapeutic. Fighting through waves of enemy fire, grenades, attack vehicles, it never gets old. If you're looking to take out boredom, send in the Mercs. Thank you all for watching. I'm Marquisio the Rogue, sneaking out.